Hello Grisha, and welcome back to Nerd Doc. Now that Shadow and Bone Season 2 has been released on Netflix, we can look forward to what we expect to see in Season 3, and when Season 3 might release on the streaming platform. Of course, that also means we're going to answer the question of whether or not Kirigan, the Darkling, is actually dead. To do all of this, that means we'll have to dive into spoiler territory for Shadow and Bone Season 2. If you need to get caught up, you can check out our video linked in the description below about the ending of Season 2 and how it's been changed from the books. Our predictions and plot theories here are based on the remaining novels in the Grishaverse, as well as some of the changes that have already been made for the Netflix series and how those changes may impact the overall story going forward. To be clear, Season 3 of Shadow and Bone has not yet been greenlit by Netflix as of the middle of March 2023. However, it is expected that a third season is going to be made and may even wrap up the entire story, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, the big question on a lot of people's minds is the fate of the Darkling. In the books, Kirigan returns, but his spirit possesses another body. While several characters may be getting new actors in Season 3, which we'll get into in a moment, Ben Barnes, who plays Kirigan, is relatively popular, having been in Shadow and Bone, The Punisher, Westworld, Chronicles of Narnia, and more. It wouldn't be surprising to see Netflix change this part of the Darkling story to keep him as Ben Barnes. Either way, expect to see the Darkling again in one form or another. Nikolai is clearly plagued by the Darkling's Nichivoya shadow creatures. This affliction will cause him to turn into a shadow creature during the night. However, he can be cured with a bit of effort. They will have to seek out what little remains of the Shadowfold. Yes, there's still just a bit left of it, as it wasn't completely destroyed, unfortunately. It's at this point in the books that they'll discover Kirigan is alive, with his body being swapped from the funeral pyre by Sankta Lizabeta, who has yet to be seen in the series, but will likely appear in Season 3. Now, Lizabeta doesn't have a very large role in the books, so it's possible this character could be swapped out for someone who's already more significant to the Netflix series. Do you remember the bee that appears during the funeral? That's a direct reference to Lizabeta, who is always surrounded by bees. Since it flies up to Zoya, this could mean one of two things. The general assumption is that Lizabeta is coming next season, and this is just a tease for that introduction. However, since Netflix isn't opposed to making big changes, it could potentially signal that it's Zoya who actually takes Lizabeta's place and swaps the bodies. This would be especially convenient for the series since Zoya was the one left behind to keep watch over the Darkling's body immediately after his supposed death. We're still banking on Lizabeta showing up herself, but a change here is certainly possible. The next big question mark is what will become of Mal and Alina. Season 3 looks to be following the Six of Crows and King of Scars novels, neither of which features Mal or Alina. However, the ending of Ruin and Rising, which is effectively the end of Season 2, has been changed to allow Mal and Alina to continue on in the series, similar to how the story of the Crows has been adjusted to include them in the first two seasons of the show, despite the fact that they don't appear in the books these seasons are associated with. Mal has taken over as Sturmund and has Inej, Tamar, and Toya with him. While they will likely have a few adventures of their own, at some point they will probably cross paths with either the Crows or Nikolai's group in order to help them on their specific missions during the third season. The Crows will be on a mission to stop the Jotaparem drug from getting out. The Grisha who interrupted the king's inauguration was just a sample of the devilish acts that can be done if this drug gets out. Kaz was already talking about it as this scene played out. During Season 3, they'll break Matthias out of Hellgate Prison, then proceed to find and free Yul Bayer from the Fjerdans. Yul is the chemist that created the drug, so basically the Crows will follow the plan that Kaz laid out at the end of Season 2. In the books, this plan requires Nina and Wylan to go undercover, disguised as other people. This could mean they will be recast in Season 3, but it's hard to say since Netflix has already changed quite a bit from the books. Nina can probably get by with just a few minor cosmetic changes to her look, keeping the same actress. But Wylan would require more significant changes that would be difficult to pull off with the same actor in place. If Netflix doesn't change actors, then they will most likely have to change the story somewhat to accommodate Wylan looking so similar. For instance, there are scenes in the book where Wylan is disguised and has to interact with Jasper while not being recognized. That will be difficult to do if he still looks too much like Wylan. Nina is going to take the amplifying drug and it will make her crazy powerful. Unfortunately, every Grisha who takes the drug eventually dies. Nina is the only one to ever survive, but she is forever changed, gaining the ability to manipulate the dead, but losing her normal Heartrender powers. She eventually becomes known as the Corpse Witch. Shu Han will also likely play a larger role in Season 3, depending on how far into the novels this season gets. We already know Alina will be heading there to return the sword, as well as attempt to create an ally out of that nation. More than likely, this will lead into the events of the Rule of Wolves novel, in which Nikolai has to stop the Darkling from creating a new Shadowfold, while also trying to get rid of the monster inside him for good. It would make sense for Alina to assist in some of these events to help her stay relevant to the story, but she could also just stick to the Shu Han arc, especially if Season 3 gets into the Rule of Wolves novel. Once again, she isn't involved in the book version of these events, but in the books she's dead to the public and back at her home, married to Mal and running the orphanage, which obviously didn't happen at the end of Season 2, so there will definitely be some changes here. Now, when can you expect to be watching Shadow and Bone Season 3? We don't have an exact release date, and as we've already said, Netflix hasn't even given a green light to the third season, but that doesn't stop us from speculating. It took 2 months from the release of Season 1 to Netflix announcing that Season 2 was greenlit. If that same pattern occurs with Season 3, we'll most likely find out if there's a third season around April or May of this year, or possibly at the next Netflix Geeked event, which should be right around that same time. After the announcement for Season 2, it was another 6 months before filming started, and then filming for that season lasted another 6 months on top of it. It was then 9 more months until the release, most of which was used for post-production. All in, it's unlikely we'll see Shadow and Bone Season 3 until at least the second half of 2024, and probably closer to the holidays around the end of the year. Our best guess is sometime between September and December 2024. It will be a long wait, but hopefully Season 3 will be worth it. So what do you think is going to happen in Shadow and Bone Season 3? Do you think any of the undercover characters will actually get recast? And book readers, do you think it will cover Rule of the Wolves, or just Six of Crows and King of Scars, with possibly some Crooked Kingdom as well? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. For now, that wraps up this video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with someone who loves Shadow and Bone.